This is a Pele Media podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to Goonies Minute. Goonies Minute is the fan podcast where we overanalyze and explore the classic 1985 film Goonies minute by minute. I am Brady.
And this is Chris.
That's right. And today we are breaking down minute number 18 of the Goonies. Chris, how you doing?
Doing good, doing good.
All right, I know you got a bunch of stuff for this, but before that, you want to go over the minute?
Let's get into the minute.
In the previous minute, Mikey was relaying the legend of One-Eyed Willie to the rest of the gang. At 18 minutes, Mikey continues the story, which involves Willie ordering all of his men to dig an elaborate system of caves and tunnels leading back to the treasure. It was at this point that Willie murdered all of his men so that no one could ever get out with the map or the story. At 18 minutes and 48 seconds, Chunk sarcastically tells Mikey that he believes him, and the rest of the gang agrees with Chunk as they begin to rat on Mikey for telling such an elaborate fable. At 18 minutes and 52 seconds, Chunk stands up and walks away. His foot knocks over a framed newspaper showing a picture of a mysterious man. At 18 minutes and 55 seconds, Chunk picks up the frame and looks at it. He realizes that it's something important, which just might lead to proof of Mikey's story. He shouts, "Hey you guys, look at this," and runs back to the gang with the newspaper. And thus ends minute 18 of the Goonies.
Okay, we ended minute 17, Midstory, when Mikey's talking about the story of One-Eyed Willie. So he says the British basically blew up the escaping Inferno, which is the name of Willie's ship, and it entrapped Willie, which obviously later in the movie you'll see how everything was entrapped. And they were down there for 5 or 6 years. They said Willie was building his, originally they say booty traps. Then he said, that's what it said, booby traps.
And building the tunnels and all of that.
Yeah, and now Chunk and Data are very amazed. They have this amazed look on their face. Those are the two that were very amazed. And of course, Mouth is not a part of it. They're not showing him yet.
Yeah.
Brant is not believing the story.
Yeah.
And, he says, Mikey's like, my dad tells me the truth. And Brant had said before that, does he really believe, something to the extent, like, you really believe Dad, Dad told that story?
Yeah, anything to get you to go to sleep.
And I'm just talking all over myself. This is going to be a good job editing this.
Editing this one.
So, basically, Mikey was like, my dad tells me the truth. This is another example of Mikey defending his dad.
Yeah.
So Brant doubts Dad, which is not the first time that Brant doubted Dad. And Mikey again saying, this is that theme of Dad saving you the day.
Yeah.
Dad is telling the truth. He wouldn't lie to me. So it's like, and then Mikey is, the more and more he gets into the story, the more and more he's getting pumped up. You can see it in his eyes. And again, the beauty of Sean Astin as an actor in this movie, being so young, the believability of the eyes, the nonverbal communication. It's one of the best classes I've ever taken.
It was awesome.
At LSU. And I love being able, because it's so hard to fake that. Mm-hmm. And he sells it so well.
Yeah, and there is such emphasis on his eyes, like you're saying in this, which helps sell his belief in it.
And I want to get to this point where there's a couple other things I want to talk about the story, but I want you, because this is a good lead in to what you wanted to talk about with Mikey.
Okay. Yeah, so one of the interesting things that's going on here is Richard Donner told Sean Astin kind of the basic story points of the One-Eyed Willie story. He gave him kind of the basic rundown of the One-Eyed Willie story and said, okay, I want you to recount all that to me, and I'm just going to let the cameras roll. So you're seeing Sean Astin, as far as I know, this is the first take of him just, going at it the way that a little kid would actually do it.
And I think the story was only told to him once, and he said, do it, basically do it to the best of your ability, and if he has to make up anything, he makes up anything.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. It's such a good performance.
Absolutely. And getting back to that story, and you're talking about, I think in the last minute I was talking about the believability that, Mikey believed this story. He's telling the truth as what his dad told him as it's true. Okay, so this is believed to be true. And I don't want the misconception of when I'm saying it's like one of Chunk's stories. But to Mouth, who doesn't believe it, Mouth doesn't believe it. Because they say they killed all the men, and then they say, how did the map get out? Well, I asked my dad the same question, and he said somebody must have gotten out.
Yeah.
And then Chunk, with this smile that Crystal Beth would love, says, I believe you, Mikey,
Yeah.
you know? But it's like Chunk would believe anything, but in Chunk's face, Chunk really didn't believe him.
Yeah, which is so surprising.
Which is surprising because Chunk believes everything.
Yeah.
And then he's got that smile, and then Mouth doesn't believe him at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just really interesting. And then, of course, we end the minute with Chunk knocking over, which we'll see next minute is the Chester Copper
That's
Pot.
right. The validation
Right.
of all of this.
Right. So it's really kind of cool because when does Chunk not believe anything?
Yeah.
And they're really just like placating Mikey, say, yeah, okay, I believe you. And it's kind of, you could tell it's frustrating Mikey because Mikey is, whether or not this is true or not, it's in Mikey's eyes, it's true because his dad told him.
Exactly. Another thing that really helps give Mikey some motivation here is the fact that he has an older sibling who is doubting him and continually saying, yeah, it's none of it's true, relax.
And that's kind of stereotypical of what you would expect.
Of what you would expect, yeah. But it gives him all the more reason to want to just say, like, no, this is true. This is all true. More of a reason to fight and raise his voice.
Perseverance.
And now his buddies, his peers who are his own age, especially his friend who just makes up everything and is full of tall tales, is also saying, yeah, it's not true, is just going to give him all the more reason to, one, want to prove it to them, and two, to go on this adventure and to lead this treasure hunt.
Right, and you see it all develop, in that minute in his eyes.
Yeah,
it's something you just can't fake.
Absolutely,
and he was faking it because
and he
he's
was
an actor.
Yeah, exactly.
And you wouldn't know it.
Exactly, sold all of us.
So that's pretty much all I have.
It's a
don't
short
have
minute.
a lot for that minute, but it's significant.
It's significant, and right here at the end, we see one of the most significant story pieces of this entire film. Literally fall right in our laps. And so we're going to we're going to get into what all of that is in the next minute tomorrow, and that is going to be minute 19. So until then, I am Brady.
And this is Chris.
And we're here to remind you that Goonies
never say die.
Goonies Minute is a fan-supported podcast. If you like the show, then leave us a review on iTunes. You can find us at GooniesMinute.com, Facebook.com/GooniesMinute, Twitter.com/GooniesMinute, and at Instagram @GooniesMinute. You can contact us at GooniesMinute@gmail.com. You've been listening to a Pele Media podcast. For premium content and exclusive podcasts, visit us at patreon.com/Pele Media. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Pele Media and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/Pele Media.